This is Carlin on 98.7 ESPN.
It is on a Friday night, 90-minute edition of the lightning round of Carlin at 800-919-3776, 800-919-ESPN on Twitter, at Chris Carlin, Instagram, that guy Carlin. By all means, you can watch the show on the video stream that is up and running at 98.7 ESPN's Twitter handle and on ESPN New York's Facebook page. What an interesting weekend the Yankees have ahead of them with the Tampa Rays in town. And look, we have been talking about this so much over the beginning part of the season. When is it appropriate to start actually worrying about what the team looks like for the season? Been through it so many times before. When you understand that the Yankees are more likely than not going to snap out of it at some point, just based on history. That's where I like to base a lot of my thought process. History, what the team has been about. In this particular instance, I'm a little bit more concerned than I usually would be. And let's start with concern number one, the Rays. The Rays are a team, as has become the case over the last couple of years, that simply enjoys beating the daylights out of the Yankees, just pounding them into submission. And frankly, if not for a half inning last weekend, the Yankees would have been swept by the Rays in Tampa. But they weren't, and they deserve credit for getting out of town with earning a win. But this weekend, you started off by beginning it with an opener in Nick Nelson, followed by Michael King. Tomorrow, you get to face Tyler Glasnow. And then Sunday, it's Garrett Cole. So you would hope that you could count Sunday as a win. But really, what's the bigger issue here? Well, against Tampa, it's the tempers. It's the fact that the Yankees did what they did last weekend, and they continue to say they did not hit four batters on purpose. And I think a couple of them were not on purpose, but I think a couple of them might have been. There might be still some really bad feelings from last season. So the Rays go, and they get warned last week for the rest of the series, and they can't do anything about it, even though they got hit four times, including one after the warning, where the umpires got together and decided, nah, that wasn't intentional. So do they expect any retaliation? Let's ask Aaron Boone.
I hope not. Obviously we hit a few of their guys, unintentionally, but understand that, that's frustrating being on the other side of that when you get guys hit. So I hope it's two teams out there, two really good teams that are going to be fighting in this division, throughout the season. I don't mean fighting. I mean, fighting it out on the field, baseball, that is. I hope it's two good teams playing quality baseball against each other. That's my hope, always is. I don't expect or hope nothing goes on beyond that.
I have to tell you, I'm kind of hoping that something does go on beyond that, because the Yankees need something. Earlier in the week, we were talking about the idea that they haven't played with any urgency. They haven't. They haven't played with any fire. They haven't. And Rougned Odor comes in last week, and you're hoping he's going to be the guy to spark a little something for your team. He hasn't. Maybe just coming together and finding a common ground of hatred of another team and getting into a brawl would be something that would actually get them going in the right direction. Now, you don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hit in the head. I don't want to see any injuries come of it. But I'm not going to be broken up if I see the Yankees and Rays go at it and clear the benches, and there's some pushing and shoving and some pretty angry people. You know why? tensions need to run high for the Yankees. They have to run high. You have to get some emotion out of them. Because right now there's nothing. There is nothing that you can visibly look at. And I'm not talking about rah-rah crap. I'm not talking about let's go crap. I'm just talking about you can tell when a team is playing with energy and when they're not. And right now they're not. And they need something. And if it's this, so be it. Are you going to tell me there's never been a hockey team that's gotten fired up over a fight in a game and that's never helped propel them a little bit when maybe they didn't have a lot of energy? Are you going to tell me there isn't a manager that hasn't purposely gotten thrown out of a game because he was trying to do something to get his team inspired? This may be what the doctor ordered. If somebody gets drilled in the rib and the bench is clear and they start getting after it, maybe it'll wake them up. What a novel idea that is. You actually have baseball to play. I'm not going back to the old days about, oh, you do this to us, we're going to do that to you, and all that crap. No, I'm just simply thinking about this team finding something that will fire them up. And if that's what it is, great. Let's see it. Aaron Boone, why do you think these tensions are running so high?
Well, I think it's been two good teams kind of going after the same thing and playing a lot of games together, and when you got two highly competitive teams, you've had some situations where guys have got hit or knocked down or things like that. And when you're playing against each other as much as we are and both teams are good and competing for a lot, sometimes it happens and it spills over and you kind of create that rivalry or whatever. But my hope, as it always is that it's about the baseball between the lines.
Well, that'd be nice. But right now, your team needs something to get going. Something. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot else that's really inspiring them. You might think I'm advocating violence. No, I'm advocating two teams that go head-to-head, one of which has enjoyed pounding the other. And the Yankees have seemingly been listless in it. Some energy, some fire, something. Just whatever it has to be to find it, the Yankees need to find it. The lines are open. The time is relatively short, but there's enough of it for you at 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. Carlin, you, phone lines, Twitter at Chris Carlin, video stream comments as well on ESPN New York's Facebook page, Carlin on ESPN YouTube, not YouTube, and, of course, 98.7 ESPN's Twitter handle. It's all there.
It's Carlin.
I'm smart, not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart.
On 98.7 ESPN. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin.
Names are going to fly all over
All
the
right.
world. I don't care who's tweeting what out. You don't know until it happens. You don't.
What's up, my people on the stream? Stevie, Nick. Retaliation is a possibility. Nick Franco. We have Odor, though. He's known to pack a punch.
I didn't know when I went to bed if I was going to be the number one overall guy. I had no idea.
Al Ayub. Hi. Hi, Al. What do I think about 7-inning baseball games? I don't hate them in the doubleheader. I really don't. I don't hate them. You have to do something to keep the energy and the attention of the fans. And 9-inning doubleheaders. Look, when I was a kid, I loved going to a doubleheader because I knew that there were going to be 2 games in 5 hours, right? Now I might get 1 game in 5 hours. That's possible. So I don't hate the 7-inning doubleheader. Not at all. Wear my hood.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is
Look like
here
a
to
monk.
keep your car on the road with the right parts, advice from our parts professionals, and our free loaner tool program. Your local store has more than
This is from the
80 specialty
Adirondacks, in
tools
case you
available
couldn't
for your
tell.
next repair. Refundable deposit required. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and ask about our free loaner tool program, or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Ethan Carter, how you doing? Ray, what's up, buddy? What's going on?
Life is hard these days, and everything's just a bit more
All
difficult
right.
in general. But some things should be easy, like streaming your favorite radio station, 98.7 ESPN. But just in case you weren't sure how to do that, I, Jim the Voice Guy, will take you through the steps one by one. If you're working from home, piece of cake. The easiest way to stream 98.7 ESPN is to say it out loud. Hey, Alexa, play 98.7 ESPN.
So I think the Mets should have built a dome. They weren't going to do it because it was going to cost too much money, and they owed a ton on Citi Field, the way they financed it first time around. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Steve Cohen could do it.
To remind you that you can hear us anywhere.
It's time for some straight talk.
LFGM, what's up? How you doing, brother?
But cutting your wireless bill in half?
You could fire away with your questions during the breaks too. We'll talk about it.
Run in the ninth inning, kind of good. Okay, maybe
It'll keep it up a little bit. I have not heard from Richard.
30 seconds.
I'm a little bit concerned about that.
A month, up to 50% less than the
They
other
need
guys.
to mention that
Plus,
on the air.
No contract. All on America's best networks.
I hope he's
Why pay a
okay.
whole lot when you could pay half? Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Coming up at 2 on the Michael K Show. Big weekend for the Yankees against the Rays. We'll look at that. Mets and the Rockies as well through bad
may want to
weather,
kill this
and
one.
giving away $500 on the 2 o'clock hour. It's a big show. It starts at 2. It goes to 6:30 right here on 98.7 ESPN.
Let's go. Open lines, 800-919-3776. We hit it with Lonnie on Long Island to start us off tonight. Lonnie, what's going down, brother? How are you?
Hey, what's up, Chris? How are you, my man?
I'm great.
Oh, good. Yes, I got a couple of things with my Yankees, okay?
Shoot.
Yankees, I don't know, they need a couple of 300 hitters. I mean, we're not going to make it with just one guy doing that. And they need some pitching. They need a number one, another number one. Okay? Now my Jets. I just played.
Where are they getting, Lonnie? They're not getting another number one from anywhere. I mean, that's the problem right now.
Well, okay.
Sorry.
And now on the Jets real quick, I want to just get on them. The Jets. I hope Zach Wilson is the guy, but hey, let's kick the tires on Justin Fields. Let's go see what this guy can do first.
Did anybody else
Take a look
notice
at him.
that in the last 24 hours, and thanks to the call, Lonnie, Justin Fields all of a sudden became the betting favorite at the number 3 pick after he had his second pro day yesterday. And there's a picture there of him with Kyle Shanahan and a couple of the other offensive coaches from Ohio State or from San Francisco. All of a sudden, he's like minus 150 to be the 3rd overall pick. I can't believe for a minute that San Francisco would have traded everything they did to move up to take Mac Jones. That's tough to take. 800-919-3776, 800-919 ESPN. Let's hit it with Kevin in Bayville next. Kevin, what's going on?
Hi, Chris. Listen, I couldn't agree with you more about the Yankees. Somebody needs a good kick in the butt on this team. I never saw such lackadaisical, who cares attitude. Everybody talks about how tight this locker room is. I'm not so sure about that. Looks to me like a lot of individuals trying to not hit the ball over. And we sign a contract. He just signs a contract. JD, what's my call it?
DJ Malone-Mayhew.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just had a brain fart. You know, he signed a contract for $85 million over the next 6 and stuff, and you know, he can't hit the ball out of the infield either. You know,
give it time. Listen, if there's one guy I'm not worried about, it's DJ LeMahieu. You know, I know people have been on him early. I don't worry about him in the least.
But Chris, I am a Yankee fan. I don't have much tolerance.
I understand that, Kevin, and thanks for the call. And frankly, it sounds like you don't have much tolerance, but not in that way, more in an alcohol kind of way. Listen, I don't really get too worked up about LeMahieu. He's going to be fine. Like, he's the one guy I can honestly look at the last couple of years and say, yeah, he'll deliver. That's not going to be an issue. There's still nobody I'd rather have up at the plate in a crucial spot, even right now when he's not going all that great. Still nobody I'd rather have at the plate. You know, as a talk show host, and it's a little bit trickier just to let you behind the curtain, doing it from home, because there's a little more of a half-second delay between myself and the caller, so you have a lot more of those awkward moments. What? 2 seconds of silence. I live for awkward, except for that. Like, I enjoy awkward moments. That is like, what would you do? James in New Jersey is next. James, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
First time, long time. Good. How are you?
Good to have you with us.
So I was curious with all the information that's coming out about Lawrence. I know it's probably not realistic, but I was curious what your take would be if Lawrence ended up, or if the Jags ended up getting enough information that they decided to pass on Lawrence and it came as a shock to everyone on draft night. What would the Jets do? Would they start to panic and wonder what the Jags were able to dig up? Or would it still be a no-brainer?
They would sprint to get the card in. They would sprint to get the card in. Yeah. They wouldn't be able to get the card in fast enough. And that's not going to happen. I mean, you're not going to find it. Well, I shouldn't say that, but it's unlikely that you're going to find anything on Lawrence that's really going to take you off it. I do have to tell you, the comments do bother me a hair, not nearly enough based on all of his performance and the way he plays and how much his teammates love him and how clear that is. But the comments do bother me a little bit, just in that I could take or leave it. I don't really love that. You know, I do want to, it doesn't, you don't have to prove yourself to be nuts to me, but it does reek to me of a player in Trevor Lawrence who is trying to prove that he's going to be a different kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was just curious if the Jags ended up shocking everybody and passing on him, if it would cause the Jets to panic and wonder what the Jags were able to find on him and still go with, you know.
Yeah, this is not Kevin Costner in draft day. Thanks for the call, James. I don't think that would be a problem. I think Joe Douglas, if that happened, might break the phone lunging for it to get the pick in. Marvin in the Bronx. Marvin, what's up, baby?
Hey, Chris, you know what this sounds like? Before you have a funeral, you have a viewing. All right? There's no obituary here yet. It's early. What's the date? April 16th?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love you, my man, but
Marvin, I'm not saying it's over. I'm not trying to, I'm not calling the funeral home yet on this. It's all I'm saying is it's not wrong to look at it and wonder how this team is currently constituted, seeing all the flaws so prominently displayed early in the year.
Okay, let the warm weather happen. Let some of the injuries.
They've been playing in Florida, Marvin. There was 90 the other day.
I'm saying it as a general all over the country, okay? I don't panic. You know, not that I disregard the first 2 months, all right? And that's true because they come back to bite you and, you know, the proverbial what, all right? But I've been a Yankee fan over 50 years. I don't jump off the bridge when this thing comes.
I get that.
Rivalry, okay. I'll take you back to 1988. The Mets beat up on the Dodgers. And I warn Mets fans, you're running into a hot pitcher and this thing could turn around. The playoffs are a different story. We know how that story wound up.
Yeah, they ran into an incredibly hot pitcher in Hershiser and an incredibly hot hitter in Gibson and a guy in Socha who hit a home run at a remarkable time. And it's one of the great moments in baseball history, Marvin. Thanks for the call, but I don't think that's what we're talking about here. All I'm saying is you can't look at it and ignore the flaws that are so prominently out front right now. There's nothing wrong with looking at the flaws and saying, you know what? This may not be what we thought it was. And I point you all to what Bob Clappish had in NJ.com earlier this week about the Yankees, that according to a source, Hal is concerned about what they're seeing, and that some in the Yankee front office felt like coming out of spring training, they were wondering if something was missing. Right now, what's missing for the Yankees is starting pitching, which has been awful, besides Garrett Cole. We know that. And I do think there has been a lack of energy. I want to go to Matthew Wilson's comment. He is checking in over on the video stream at ESPN New York 98.7's Twitter handle and on ESPN New York's Facebook page. Chris, I have no problem with a little hate between two teams because sometimes you need to be knocked down to see if you can get up and do something about it. This is my point, Matthew, and I wholeheartedly agree. If there is a lack of energy in what the Yankees are doing at the moment, which there is getting in a skirmish to fire you up the worst thing in the world? It's not. There's part of me that kind of hopes they drill us tonight. Not in the head, obviously, not in the shoulder, obviously, but, come up and in or come inside and miss us and some tempers flare. I'd love to see my team's energy start to get going. And here's the thing. It'll already be percolating because they expect it to come. The Rays didn't stop chatting about this during the course of the week. They're very much thinking about it. Mike Yonkers, next, 98.7 ESPN. Mike, go.
Chris, how you doing, brother?
I'm great.
So I had a question. I actually called the Michael K show earlier, and I was on hold forever, and then my call dropped right before they got to me. So I'm going to ask you because I think Mike might be a little bit too close to it to look at it objectively.
I don't think that's true, but go ahead.
Well, you never know. But when the Yankees had traded for Pineda and Sonny Gray and all these guys, and Michael had mentioned it earlier that the Yankees haven't been great at developing pitchers that they acquire. So when Sonny Gray got traded, there was like an interview when he got to Cincinnati saying that the Yankees were obsessed with the slider. It wasn't a pitch he was comfortable throwing. It wasn't his best pitch, and they rammed it down his throat that it had to be his main pitch. And he felt that that's why he was getting shelled. So do you think that the Yankees might force the Yankee way and the way they do things on these studs from other teams, and it takes them out of like what they do best, and that's why maybe they don't always come here and like kick butt the way they did in other places?
No, because I think Sonny Gray, New York was not a great spot for Sonny Gray. And I don't think it may have been part of it, but I don't think that was all of it. I think there is something to the idea that the Yankees either don't develop it well in their system. I think that's true because you look at the history and that would tell you that's the case. And I also think, though, that you look at it and you say they don't have a great eye for it outside of the organization besides, the obvious ones like Garrett Cole.
True. Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate it, man.
No problem, Mike. Have a good night, brother. I do believe that. I do believe there's something to it. I do believe there's something to the notion that the Yankees are not great at developing talent. I don't think it's jamming the Yankee way down guys' throats. Sonny Gray just didn't work here. Some guys don't work here, and he didn't. I'd be more upset about the fact that I haven't really seen anybody come up through this organization and become a really good starting pitcher. I mean, Severino, I guess, but he hasn't been on the field enough, has he? Jordan Montgomery? Meh. I mean, who else? What am I missing here with guys that have come to the big leagues and really made an impact in the last 15, 20 years. I mean, Chien-Ming Wang had 2 great years, but that wasn't really come and develop. That wasn't anything like that. I mean, I'm trying to think of guys that really came up through the system and were good. Just not even great, just good, reliable. Maybe there's guys I'm forgetting. James in Spring Valley is next on 98.7 ESPN. James, what's going on?
Carlin, I love you guys, and I was just talking to Brian. I think we all need to relax. I mean, there's some cause for concern with the Yankees, but let's relax, man. It's 162 games, and all of a sudden we're in a panic attack. If the sky is falling. Listen,
it's not a panic attack. It's nothing. There's a big difference between pointing out what flaws are and wondering if they're flaws that can be fixed and setting the world on fire and saying the season's over. Nobody's doing that.
Well, look, like the starting pitching outside of Cole is a concern, and
yeah.
I honestly admit that it's a concern, and hitting with runners in scoring position, that is a concern. But I believe that they will correct it. I believe that over the course of the season, they're going to get their mojo. They're going to find their fire. They're still going to win probably 95, 90 to 99 plus wins. They're still going to win in the American League. Now, the World Series, that's a different subject. But as far as this season, the Yankees are still going to the playoffs. It's fun. It's okay. Like, you know,
the only one I've definitively agreed with you so far is that they're still going to the playoffs. I would not guarantee 95 to 99. I would not. I think most of the reason that I still think they're going to the playoff, James, and thanks for the call, is that the rest of the American League is just not very good. The league stinks. The Yankees have great talent, don't get me wrong, but they don't look like a team constructed to do enough of the right things to win games. I'm talking about hitting in the clutch. I'm talking about not just running your bullpen into the ground when it's a strength of your team. I'm talking about at least examining what's going on here early and trying to figure out if you're going to need a big shakeup. 98.7 ESPN, Carlin, Sandy Alderson on the hot seat. We'll discuss.
You can't miss a moment with Greeny.
I'll be back in a minute.
Dan Orlovsky is with me. For the people seen Zach Wilson, what did he do this year that made him go from a guy who wasn't going to be anywhere near the first